We are coming to you from the city beautiful Chicago, Illinois, where tonight WGN Sports on the U presents White Sox baseball. It's Jose Abreu, Alexi Ramirez, Avisail Garcia and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with Adam Dunn, Josh Donaldson, and Bob Melvin's Oakland Athletics. Hi, everybody, and welcome. We're Steve Stone. I'm Ken Harrelson. As we get set to bring you the third of this four-game set. As you know, we split the first two. We won the opener 5-4 in 12 innings, 2 home runs by Tyler Flowers. Then last night we made 5 errors. Well, that's enough said. We got beat 11-2. But we still have a chance to be a spoiler in this thing.
When that's all you have left, you have to take advantage of that. There's 18 games left, and 12 of them against teams that actually have a chance. And so you get psyched up a little bit. You see the 2 more against the Athletics. Then the Royals. You see, we're going to make a big difference in their season. And the Tigers. And the Tigers, we play 3 on the road, so it's going to be a little tough the rest of the way, but the adrenaline flows when you're playing a team in contention, and hopefully that'll happen.
Well, one of the big guns is Josh Donaldson. He went 0 for 5 in Game 1. Then last night he gets 5 hits.
Josh Donaldson was really struggling, and his 5 hits, a career high for him. Also, he's driven in 93, and that ties a career high. As you can see, drove in 4. He had 4 singles. He scored a couple of runs. It was a big night for him, and he hit the ball to right, center, and left field. So this is a guy they really need to perform. Last night, at least, he did it. And Jeff Samardzija going to the mound today for the Athletics, and he's been tough against our Sox, wearing a Cub uniform most of the time, now wearing an Athletic uniform. But in this ballpark, he's been something special. He's got a good splitter. That's one of his best pitches. He throws hard. He usually has some problems late in the season. Now, he's thrown the ball all well for the Athletics, but not overwhelming. As you can see, 2-7 with the Cubs, 4-5 with the Athletics, but the ERA much higher in the American League. Probably because there's some better hitters and more offense, and you don't get to face the pitcher here. But Samardzija in this ballpark has been overwhelming.
Well, we got our work cut out for us, so sit back, relax, enjoy it with us, strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way.
This season tonight, facing a team in the midst of a pennant race. According to Robin Ventura, the key for Chris Bassett will be to keep his emotions in check for tonight's game.
you have to control your emotions. You know, he's excited that he's up here. He's going against a very good team, you know, a team that's in the race and has a lot of professional type hitters that will wear you down. So for him, it's throwing strikes and being able to stay consistent and have some off-speed pitches that get in there. You know, he has velocity and things like that, but there's more to it than just throwing as hard as you can. So I think for him, it's going to be the control that he has with all his pitches.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with the lineups and tonight's first pitch after these messages. Home for the most live sports. Tonight's game is available in Spanish on your SAP audio setting, provided by 97.5 FM ESPN Deportes, Chicago's first and only Spanish-language sports radio station. Let's take a look at how Bob Melvin's going to line up his A's for tonight's game. Coco Chris to lead it off, and it's Sam Full, Josh Donaldson, who had a huge night last night. Adam Dunn, the DH, with Josh Reddick, Derek Norris, Brandon Moss, Jed Lowry, and Eric Sogard rounding it out. The Sox defense and how they'll line up behind Chris Bassett, Jordan Danks, Adam Eaton, and Abisail Garcia in the outfield. Connor Gillespie, Alexi Ramirez, Carlos Sanchez, and Andy Wilkins in the infield. Josh Fegley gets a nod behind the plate. And there you look at young Chris Bassett. He's 0-1, his ERA up over 7. This is his second start. Opponents hitting .300 against him. Robin says he has to keep those emotions in check. It's a big game for any youngster going to the mound, especially against a contending team. Oakland is just that. They have the inside track at the wild card, so it shouldn't be an easy night, as this is a veteran Oakland team. The umpires for the game tonight: Quinn Wolcott behind the plate, C.B. Buckner is at first, Dan Iasoni is at second, and the crew chief, Dale Scott, is at third. And so on a very humid night, there's been a lot of rain today, but we're going to get this one in. And Chris Bassett would dearly love to throw the ball over early, work against his own adrenaline, keep things under wraps. He's got a very good curveball. If he can establish the fastball, get it over, and then get the feel for the curveball, he probably is going to have a pretty good night. So Bob Melvin, who's done a great job with this Oakland team, despite the fact that they really have fallen off lately. They're still in command. They still can determine their own fate. And we'll see how it works out. So they've thrown the ball around the infield, which means we're ready to play baseball. I'm ready to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
Hi, Steve. Thank you. And once again, good evening, everyone, and welcome to White Sox baseball right here for WGN Sports on the U. So happy you could join us for Game 3 of this 4-game set. And Coco Crisp will lead it off for them. Coco 2 for 11 in the series. So the 6'5" right-hander, 25 years old, out of Curtis, Ohio's first pitch. Taken for a ball. A's come in hitting at .248 as a team with a 3.29 ERA. He's 36 and 36 on the road, 45 and 27 at the Coliseum. There's a strike. 34-year-old veteran, a good player. Last year, 22 home runs. Close pitch, didn't get it.
Probably a good thing that Josh Phegley is behind the plate. I'm sure he saw Chris in the minor leagues, and he's going to try to help him through this performance against a team with a lot of speed.
That ball's hit into the seats, foul, very foul. His right side is wrong shape. Batting practice, that ball was absolutely just jumping to right field.
But you also have as heavy winds as we've seen with a lot of storms in the area, but the flags are starched atop the poles, and it will be a big factor here tonight.
Good pitch. Focus bat. And he will make the play. 1 out. Yeah, I think it was Brandon Moss that didn't have the jersey, game jerseys on the BP. He hit one about 5/6 of the way up in those seats behind the Hyundai sign out there in right center. Then he hit another one. The next pitch took one bounce and went up on the concourse.
Well, there's no doubt about the power of Moss, but he hasn't hit a home run since July 24th. Hopefully he won't break out of it till he leaves town.
Pretty good pitch right there. Didn't get it. Called. 3 for 9 in the series with 3 RBIs, hitting at .250 on the season, 3 homers and 30 driven in.
That was a good straight change, at least showing Oakland that he will throw the straight change, and when he does, he can get it over.
Two and one. Well, we've talked about it so many times. Great Gabby Hartnett, Hall of Famer, said the first responsibility of the catcher is to find his pitcher's rhythm, get him in it, and keep him in it. And he said even to the exclusion of not worrying about, there's a strike, so much pitching to the hitters, but having the catcher have his pitcher pitch to him. Not thinking about the hitter, not thinking about anything else. That said to get him in his rhythm, get him in his rhythm. As that is into left field. Jordan Danks is there. And I know there's been times that you went out there that you just couldn't find a rhythm.
I didn't really have a good idea about pace and rhythm until I got to Baltimore. And Ray Miller was pitching coach, and a very good one. Let me know early that they expected their pitchers to get the ball and throw it because the defense behind him. That's the argument he made, which made a great deal of sense. I'd never heard that before at that point. And as soon as I picked up the pace, I became a much better pitcher, and the guys played very well behind me.
Here's Donaldson. As I mentioned, he was 0 for 5 in game 1 and 5 for 6 last night with 4 RBIs. That old saying about good ones, you got to get them in a hurry. Don't let them find their rhythm. It's so true. If they find their rhythm, you're in trouble. One pitch. Ball hit hard. We got a man there right in his tracks. So 1-2-3 inning for young Chris Bassett after half inning of play. There goes nothing, and the good guys coming to bat.
Out there with Adam Eaton, Alexei Ramirez, and Jose Abreu at the top. Connor Gillespie, Avisail Garcia, and Andy Wilkins in the middle, followed by Josh Fegley, Jordan Dankson, Carlos Sanchez to round it out. The defense and how they'll line up behind Jeff Samardzija. Full, Crisp, and Reddick in the outfield with Donaldson, Lowry, Sogard, and Moss in the infield. Derek Norris behind the plate, and Jeff Samardzija on the hill. Those are the numbers with Oakland. What jumps out at you? A 7-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. That's overwhelming. He has, however, given up 11 home runs.
And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours. That's a big 6'5", 225-pound right-hander of Valparaiso. First pitch strike. Adam hitting at 300. A homer, he's driven in 34. 1 for 7 in this series. That one at 94 in the count. 0-2. Adam has seen Samardzija 3 times. He's 0 for 3. Just up out of the zone.
Jeff's wipeout pitch is that splitter, and he throws a pretty good one.
And there's a base hit into left field. Sam Full can't catch everything. So a good way to start.
Good way to start when you're sitting at an even 300, and that's protection mode for Adam Eaton. That was supposed to be a splitter, didn't do much, and he poked it into left field. So some speed aboard and a chance to get to Samardzija, which has been difficult in this ballpark early in the game, and put some pressure on it.
Alexei hitting at 274, 14 homers and 65 knocked in. He's 2 for 12 off. Jeff takes ball 1. Sox come in hitting at 254 as a team with a 4.38 ERA. One to count, and here at the ballpark, 330 down the left field line, 335 down the right field line, 375 in the gap, send 400 straight away center field.
Last year, the first year that Jeff Samardzija ever went over 200 innings. He's probably going to eclipse that again this year. He's 10 short. Last year 8-13 for a bad Cub team. But he fanned 214 men in 213 2/3 innings. It's a big year.
He's a good athlete. Rack him up. Quickly 2 gone.
If you throw splitters and you throw them a lot, you have to be ready for anything to come back at you, because that's normally where it goes. And that's a very easy 1-4-3.
Well, when you're going across the middle and you're going to catch a 90-mile-an-hour pass from the quarterback from 8 yards.
You better have good hands.
Yeah.
You better have good hands, and you better be able to take a hit.
So here's Abreu at 317, 33 homers, 99 driven in, and that's in the gap. Nobody's going to get that one. So he'll just cruise on into second base with his 33rd double.
That's the best news we've seen in a while from Jose. The fact that he's going to right center. When he goes to right center, it's just a matter of time till he starts hitting the ball out of the ballpark. And he crushes this ball. Crisp or Reddick have no chance. And there's a runner in scoring position.
That'll bring up Gillespie at 294, 7 homers and 51 knocked in. Two 2-0 with Avi Garcia on deck. And there he is. Little cutter strike.
When you can cut him at 93, you know you got a real good arm.
Yeah, he's going to be out there. Season's over. 2-2. Let me check his contract status here. And that is just foul. And right now, with Abreu at second, 2 out. Let's check out our picks to click. Jim Angio, our director and crew, they went with Fegley. Steve's going with Connor Gillespie. And my working partner of 25 years, Joe Grube, the birthday boy today. Joe Grube and I are going to go with Adam Eaton, who just singled to lead off at the bottom of the first. Happy birthday, Joe. Change up. And that'll do it. We get a couple of hits, fan one, and after one, no score. Guess who's at the plate is number 10, Adam Dunn. Big man hitting at 224, 22 homers, 59 knocked in. He was 1 for 5 in the opener. And he takes first pitch strike.
I don't think Chris wants to repeat that pitch in that location, because at 92 down, Adam can hit that one a mile.
Good pitch. That's where it's going to go. If it's hit hard at all. Foul. Rope hook.
Yeah, kept that ball in on his hands and kept it up. And absolutely nothing that Dunn could do with that.
There's a high curveball, and he just, fortunately, is fouled.
With Oakland, Adam hitting 286 with a couple of home runs, 5 runs batted in 7 games. So they got him to replace the offense lost with the trade of Cespedes. And Adam, for Oakland, has done a nice job.
He gone.
There's a perfect off-speed pitch, and it's in just barely at a piece of the plate. It's a slider, doesn't do a whole lot, but does enough.
Right fielder Josh Reddick, 1 for 7 in the series with a homer. And he takes first pitch strike. Well, Adams had that flair for dramatic when he went from Cincinnati to Arizona. Homered in the first game there. Went from there to Washington. Homered in the first game there. Game here with us. Homered in the first game here.
And unfortunately, that first year for him, because he had a good spring, got off to a good start, and then had the appendectomy.
Yep. And then homered in the first game at Oakland.
If he gets traded 26 more times, he's going to have a lot of home runs.
He's going to have a good year.
Yeah.
And get a lot of traveling money.
That's for sure.
A lot of moving money. Tried to backdoor him and count 2-2. Good pitch there, just ate him up, jammed him badly. So Alexei will make that play on the first base side of second. And grab your costumes and bring your friends and family to the ballpark for Countdown to Halloween on Saturday, September 27th. Now, our Sox are offering an exclusive ticket package, which includes a game ticket and a glow-in-the-dark White Sox trick-or-treat bag. Yes, so to purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com/boo. Derek Norris, 5 for 10 in the series. That is average up to 277, 10 homers and 52 driven home. Takes first pitch strike, blowing away at the knees. Outfield for the most part straight up. And that curveball at 74.
That by far the best curveball that Chris has thrown. Actually, that overamped adrenaline early is the biggest killer of a curveball early in the ball game until your feeling gets back. And that was as good as he's got the last pitch.
That's an interesting topic of conversation among athletes. Adrenaline.
The fine line between just enough and too much,
or how to handle it.
Veterans can. Youngsters have a hard time sometimes.
I'll never forget the statement when I retired from baseball and Nicholas was working with me on my mind, not so much the swing but my mind on how to play the game of golf. There's a difference hitting the ball and playing the game of golf.
Big difference.
Yeah. Here's the 2-2. Good try, just off the corner. I'll never forget the statement he made one day on the practice tee down at Lagos in Miami Beach. He said, if Tom Weiskopf knew how to handle his adrenaline, we would all be playing for second place. That's pretty profound.
He was a wonderful talent.
That's what he was telling you.
Yeah.
Curveball. He gone. So that is 6 up, 6 down for Chris Bassett.
Click on the Game Zone banner for updated stats and information. The Game Zone is powered by St. Xavier University. It's tradition and innovation, and this is where they meet.
Bottom of the second. It'll be Garcia, Wilkins, and Fegley in. Just wish my good friend Joe Grube a very happy birthday, and now I want to wish another good friend of mine a very happy birthday today, and many more to a guy who's really one of the reasons I'm still working at my age, because that's how much of my money he's got on the golf course. That's Arnold Palmer, 85 years old today.
Well, he's got Joe by 10 years, but Arnold looks great.
There's a chopper, foul, just foul. You know, they had a pacemaker put in. Uncle Wood, everything's going to be fine. We butted heads for 45 years.
He is one of the huge reasons why the guys are making what they're making today on that tour.
There's no question about it. Arnold's a unique individual. I said, we've been buddies a long time. I have never seen him turn down an autograph request. Never, ever. We'll be sitting there after a round having a beer and at Bay Hill, and they'll bring in a couple of busloads of people from Europe who wanted to play Bay Hill because it's Arnold's course. There'll be 20 or 30 or 40 of them will walk into the men's locker room there. They want to meet Arnold. He'll get up, shake hands with every one of them, and sign everybody's autograph. Some of the great autograph signers in baseball certainly have been Cal Ripken Jr., Rocky Colavito back in years past. Breaking ball low on the way. I don't know if you saw that special that Golf Channel did on Arnold called Arnie.
I did not.
It was fantastic. What a great job they did.
And
what a great job they do.
Had a whole lot to work with.
Oh, yeah. That's top foul.
Seventh pitch of the at bat.
Ate him up right there. Nice pitch, nice pick, nice bag. No, but it was an out. So one down.
This ball is way inside with good movement, and there's nothing that Avi can do with that. Probably they should try somebody else as far as hitting the ball back to him, because Samardzija fields his position well.
So here's Andy. You know, the irony, not ironies, that's wrong. But one of the nice things about Arnold and Jack, both of them huge baseball fans. I mean, really big baseball fans. Jack was a heck of a catcher.
At that point,
coming up in Columbus.
At that age, you probably couldn't knock him over. He thinned out a little later in life, but not in those days. I think he picked the right sport, however.
Yeah. No score here in the bottom of the second if you're just tuning in. They have no hits. We have 2 hits. That one at 96.
And he is not going to catch up to it up there. Not from about 92 and above. Because that's top or just out of the strike zone. Very few left-handers can get on top of the ball. Big year in AAA for Andy Wilkins.
Yeah, anytime you lead the league in home runs and tied for the league in RBIs, you've had a pretty good year. He made a good pitch and a good job just to get a piece of it.
And when he ran up there at 98. Perfect pitch. Because Andy can't do anything with it. He was fortunate to just foul it off.
Fooled him. Up high, 2 out. So here's Josh. Bagley looking for his first hit since being called up. Josh had a big year down there. He hit 23 home runs. There you go. 75 knocked in. Breaking ball, strike. Another breaking ball, another strike, and the count 0-2. And a 1-2-3 inning for Samardzija. He now has 3 strikeouts, and we are scoreless.
On my right, and Christine O'Reilly with an opportunity to tell you about Sox Fest coming up early next year.
It is. It's in January 23rd through the 25th. It's September, Steve, so it's time to start talking about Sox Fest. But really, we're really excited. We're going to a new venue this year. We'll be at the Chicago Hilton and Towers, so just down the road from where we've been. So a great new opportunity for lots of new fun stuff. We're going to have a really cool White Sox social media component to Sox Fest this year. January 23rd through the 25th.
And of course, it's never too early to get your tickets or to book it, so tell us a little bit about how to do that.
Yeah, we have a great deal this year. We have, and you can see it on the screen, so we've got great package prices. So this year, to stay at the hotel for the 2-night package, which is the best way to enjoy the weekend, that's $295. And then you buy a weekend pass, but the good news is we've significantly reduced the weekend pass prices. Adult weekend passes are $40, and for the first time ever, we're selling a children's price ticket for just $20. So for a family of 4, that's 100% discount over what you would have paid last year. So all the information is at whitesox.com/SoxFest. We'll have current players there as always. And the exciting thing is, as we're celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the White Sox World Series victory, we're going to bring back some of the guys from the 05 club. So it'll be a really great combination of that amazing team and all the exciting future that we have on this ball club for 2015 here in Chicago.
And folks, you get a chance to see players up close and personal, something that is difficult to do most of the time, but not at Sox Fest. So book your reservations early. And Christine, thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. WhiteSox.com/SoxFest.
And there is the information. The Hilton Chicago and SoxFest.com/SoxFest, or call 312-674-1000 to get all the information.
Lowry. That's high, and that's going to be in the seats. So the count hangs at 1-2. All right, 2 for 9 with a homer in this series. 6 homers, 45 knocked in on the season. Here's that curveball, misses outside. You got a cookie right there and missed it.
You can see in Xfinity Pitch Tracks, this ball is right down the middle at 82. It was not the location, but the velocity that had him out in front. And that's fortunate because he's a much better hitter from the left side. With just about all of his power, 5 of his 6 home runs have come as a lefty.
So 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out here in the top of the 3rd. No runs, no hits, no errors for them. No runs, 2 hits, no errors for us. And that's popped up. Josh may have a play. He does. He makes it. 2 down.
Two down and 8 in a row retired. Good play by Josh. Keeps his concentration. Knows exactly where he is, and with 2 steps to spare, he puts it away.
Eric Sogard, the second baseman, at the plate, hitting at .223 with a homer. He's driven in 20. First pitch strike. 28-year-old. Yes, he did.
Normally, when you check your swing or try to, and you're off balance, it makes it appear that you've gone farther around than you really have. And that's what happened with Sogard there. So he's in a hole.
Pretty good pitch. It was a strike, and he didn't get it.
That was a perfect pitch. Doesn't get any better than that. This is 94, low and away. Had the whole zone, didn't get it.
Close pitch there. And there's a chopper 2 hopper. So he pitches over the blown call. And we'll go to the bottom of the third. He has retired everybody he's seen.
TV.com, sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your local nationwide insurance agent, serving the area for 36 years. To join the nation, visit jeffvuk.com because Nationwide is on your side.
And here's Jordan Danks to face Jeff Samardzija. Jordan at 186, couple homers. He's driven in 9. No runs, no hits for them. No runs, 2 hits for us. And he's got a count. 2-0. And that's a base hit. Right off the end of the bat, he'll take it.
Looking fastball all the way. You figure he'd have to at 2-0. He did break his bat, however, found a perfect spot between Donaldson and Lowry to ease it into left field. Carlos Sanchez hitting .292, 4 driven in. He's a switch hitter, hitting much better from the right side than the left. Short lead at first. And he swings at a high fastball and fouls it straight back. Outfield straight away. Donaldson fairly shallow at third base, respecting the fact that Sanchez might lay one down. Quick throw to first. And Danks is back in. Samardzija making sure that Danks does not take any liberties at first. Jordan with 4 stolen bases. He's been caught twice.
0-1 pitch. Count evens. Young man here, little Mags, has made quite an impression on everybody.
Made an impression on Greg Gentry yesterday.
To the point of being concussed.
Nasty collision at first base. Carlos came away unscathed. Gentry, not so much.
Uh-oh. Right to the bag. Rack him up. 2 double plays. Turned and quickly 2 out. So here's Adam. He singled into left field to lead off the bottom of the first inning. And there's the strike on the inside corner. 2 out, 1-1 to count here in the bottom of the third. Top of the fourth in Detroit, no score, Kansas City. And the Tigers.
It's Porcello against Big Game James, and for Kansas City, this is where Big Game James is going to have to throw a big game, because they lost the first 2 of that series, and they're in a dead tie for first place in the Central with Detroit.
Chases that one up and out of the zone.
That's what it looks like. And remember, Kansas City has just 1 inning to score at least 2 runs in the bottom of the 10th when they played the Indians in Cleveland, a resumption of a suspended game.
Got him, he knew it. So that is the 4th strikeout for Samardzija. We're into the 4th, no score. Fourth, Crisp, Fold, and Donaldson as Chris Bassett, 25-year-old rookie, has retired the first 9 he has seen. And a very slight mist falling.
Some of the fans trying to find a little shelter.
There they shot. So you can cancel a post-game show.
Well, this is the second time through the order against a pitcher that they've never seen. And that's going to tell you a whole lot. As Chris had a wonderful run through 3, and Coco Crisp takes it right back up the middle. So it's the first time that Chris will be out of the stretch. Let's see if he induces a double play ground ball.
Fold went out to his counterpart, Jordan Danks, in left field. Coco 19 for 23 in stolen bases. A's 78 for 94. Takes that one low and away.
Fold is a very difficult man to double. You better hit it hard at somebody. He's grounded into 2 double plays and 301 at bats this year.
Two and 0 the count. Goss may have been crossed up on that.
Looks like he called for the breaking ball and didn't get it.
And the count 3-0.
He's using a slide step. It's the first time he's been in the stretch, and the first thing that suffers the first time you go into a stretch is your control. With Josh Donaldson in the on-deck circuit.
So the first 2 men aboard. And here's Donaldson. He's 0 for 1, but he hit a rocket right to Jordan Danks. Didn't have to move out of his tracks for a line shot out.
With first and second, nobody out, Oakland has scored 60% of the time. Sox pitchers have given up runs 71% of the time, and the league average 59%.
Outfield bunched a bit straight up. He was looking for it, got it, had a good rip at it, and thankfully just underneath it. All right, take your time. Rack them up. 2 down. .153rd double play turn by our Sox. And join our Sox as they honor retiring captain Paul Konerko throughout September with tributes and special giveaways. So join Club Konerko, a special outfield section, to receive an exclusive Paul Konerko collectible. And don't miss Paul Konerko Day on September 27th. For tickets and information, visit whitesox.com/Konerko. And there's a base hit the other way. And it's 1-0 Oakland.
For Adam Dunn, that's RBI number 60. And you see only Gillespie on the left side, and he can't get to it.
So here's Reddick. He popped up to Alexei. Breaking ball. But they come up with a run, and we'll go to the bottom of the 4th. It is 1-0 Athletics. That was Coco Crisp, who singled to lead off the top of the 4th.
There's a ceremonial first pitch by Pat O'Donnell. Bears rookie punter, drafted in the 6th round out of Miami.
And here's the first pitch to Alexei, is a high slider out in front and hammers it foul. 1-2-0 for them, 0-3-0 for us. Marja, no walks, 4 strikeouts.
Alexei wanted the appeal to CB Buckner, but Quinn Wolcott said, "I saw you swing, so no appeal necessary."
Inside. Got it in on him. When Samardzija pitches inside, he's one of the better pitchers in the game.
He's got very good movement on everything he throws. And if you're throwing 95, 96, up to 98, and you're getting movement inside, right-hander to right-hander, not too many folks can handle that.
Here's Abreu. He doubled hard into right center field, picking up his 33rd two-bagger.
In fact, that absolutely is the only way to handle it, and that is don't swing at it.
.95 and the count 2-0. For all you young pitchers out there, I'll give you something to think about. There's a high slider, and you can transpose it. The worst feeling a hitter can have is when he goes to the plate and he's got to think inside. That's the worst feeling that a hitter can have. Conversely, the best feeling that a hitter can have is when he goes to the plate and he doesn't have to worry about anything in here inside. He can look for the ball out over the plate. That's when he can really utilize his talent and hit. So you just take it from there. That's low. Full count. Of course, the game is always changing, but the great Sandy Koufax, one of the greatest things I ever heard about pitching. It was very short and concise. Show me a pitcher can't pitch inside, and I'll show you a loser. There was a get me over slider. So 2 down. If a hitter going to the plate doesn't have to worry about anything inside, can look for the ball out over the plate, you got to take that feeling away from him.
Well, Koufax also said that the best pitch in baseball, and he said a lot of people will tell you it's a well-placed fastball, it's a good hook on the first pitch, it's a slider, it's a change. He said the best pitch in baseball has been, always will be strike one. You throw strike one, it's a defensive at bat. You throw ball one, it's an offensive at bat.
Most important pitch in the game. Gillespie struck out on a good changeup.
Apparently he can't get together with Derek Norris, so he goes out to have a word with him. Jeff currently chewing on his glove. It's Kurt Young to the right of Bob Melvin. That's his pitching coach, and a good one. This is his second tour with Oakland.
Beautiful play by Donaldson. Perfectly timed on a bullet off the bat of Gillespie. Meanwhile, a 1-2-3 inning, and we're into the 5th, trailing 1-0. Oakland leading young Chris Bassett 1-0. Here in the top of the fifth, it'll be Norris, Moss, and Lowry. Derek 0 for 1, struck out on a curveball. That one at 90 for a strike. And that's low. That had part of the zone. He gone. He knew it.
Here's our Xfinity Speed replay. It's a line drive rocket, and the former catcher Josh Donaldson turned third baseman, made a great play. He's well off the line, keeps this one out of left field, and ends the inning. Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
Here's Moss. He went out to left field. And he starts him off with a changeup. Boy, he got off to such a hot start. It looked like he was just going to never cool off.
Well, his career high is 30 home runs. He did that last year, and it looked like he was going to fly by that, but he's hit a big speed bump.
You can bet it's not anything mechanical. Jordan, long way to go, and he's not going to be able to get there in time. No. Hitting home runs is a state of mind. That old saying, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right either way.
Josh Phegley apparently didn't like the location, so he went out to have a word with his youngster in just his second major league start. And tonight, he's acquitted himself pretty well.
Boy, he's got some speed. Whew. Brandon Moss, 30 years old. There's a curveball. Most of the time, when you're watching or listening to baseball, you hear the statement that most guys hit them in bunches. Most of them, hitters hit them in bunches. And for the most part, that's true. And when they're not hitting them, it's not because their swing's bad, because they're thinking bad. He gone. 4 strikeouts now for Chris. 2 down.
Backdoor breaking ball, and it just locked up Moss. Just a touch of late movement. 2 up, 2 strikeouts. Both of them of the called variety.
Lowry, he fouled out to Fegley. Josh made a good catch on it. Outfield around to the left. Spaced almost equidistant. Maybe just a slight gap. A little bitty gap out there in right center. Kansas City has scored a pair. They lead the Tigers 2-0. Top of the 5th inning. There's a changeup.
There was a time when this Oakland organization drafted well, raised their own, brought them to the major leagues, and they were the foundation to build around. But every guy in the starting lineup tonight was acquired from someplace else. And granted, a lot of the guys that they used in trades were their own guys.
That fastball got by him. He just muscles that one into center field. Pretty good pitch. He just got beat on it.
Get that ball inside, right on the hands of Lowry. But the switch hitter, who's much better left-handed, got the job done.
Sogard grounded out to Wilkins at first base. Good rip at that one.
When you're having a great year, things happen as they happened tonight for Baltimore, who beat Boston 10-6. And Caleb Joseph, their catcher, 3 for 5 with 3 runs driven in. Ryan Flaherty, who usually plays third but never would if Manny Machado was around, went 4 for 5 with 2 runs batted in. So 5 of their 10 from most unlikely sources. And the Orioles continue to roll.
The curveball stayed a little bit out of the zone.
Baltimore won their 4th in a row. Now leading Toronto by 10.5 games in the East.
And at one time, Toronto had a huge lead over there.
Talking with John Gibbons, their manager, he said it looked like we'd never lose a game, and then when it turned around, it feels like we'll never win a game.
Chops that one foul.
That's what it looks like. Baltimore making a shambles of the race. But Buck Showalter has cautioned his team against easing off the gas pedal, because they swept Boston. They're playing great baseball, hitting the daylights out of the ball, and getting some pretty decent pitching. Wei-Yun Chen, who won today, 15-4 with an ERA just a little above 3.5.
Jacks it up, fouls it off. He gone. Strikes out the side. 5 strikeouts now for Bassett. We're halfway home. We trail at 1-0. Samardzija's given up no runs on just 3 hits. They have 1 run on 3 hits.
Time to get a little something going against a man that has been close to unhittable in the course of his career in this ballpark against our Sox, and that's Jeff Samardzija.
Garcia, Wilkins, and Fegley. Ivy hit a hard comebacker to Samardzija, who made it look easy. Threw him out. Outfield swung well around to the right, gap out there in left center. He did not go, says CB. Third of this 4-game set. We won the opener 5-4 in 12 innings. Tyler Flowers tied it in the 9th with a homer and then won it in the 12th with a homer. Then last night we played a bad ball game, got beat 11-2. One of the worst games we played all year. Breaking ball at slider. But for the most part this season, even though we have a losing record, 16 under, we have been in a heck of a lot of ball games and lost a heck of a lot of 7th, 8th, and 9th inning games.
As it has been from the beginning, as it will be till this sport ends, the good teams take the game away in the 7th, 8th, and 9th, and the not so good teams give the game away in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. And that's not going to change.
Well, it's a little more prevalent today than it ever has been, only because of the bullpens. Seventh, 8th, and 9th inning, those good bullpens are going to win most of the time. Those bad bullpens, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, are going to get beat most of the time.
If the good bullpens are backed up with good defense, they'll win just about every time.
Well, and there is ball 4. That's the first walk issued by Samardzija. Meanwhile, the dreaded leadoff walk. One of our good friends, Bob Lemon, once said, 2 of the greatest things in life are great friends and a strong bullpen.
I had Lem as a manager. He was wonderful to play for, especially if you were a pitcher, because he understood pitchers very well. He was a position player who became a pitcher.
And he struck out on a changeup his first trip.
He really related to the pitching staff, and he understood pitching. A lot of managers, especially early in their careers, that weren't pitchers or catchers, they don't understand pitching very well. Lem was not one of those guys.
Well, you see a lot of former catchers that are managers. I guess if there's one position that is prevalent among managers, it is catching. But for me, one of the ideal managers is a guy who is a pitcher who knows the game of baseball. There goes Ivy. Oh, he had that base stolen. But the foul back in the count 1-2.
Well, 2 of the best in the business that we talk about all the time are former catchers, Bruce Bochy, Mike Scioscia. They have good pitching coaches, but they also know every aspect of the game. Ideally, your catcher and your shortstop should be the 2 smartest players on the team. Doesn't always work out that way, but ideally that's what you'd like.
Don Drysdale, God rest his soul, Hall of Fame pitcher. For all you youngsters out there, for the Dodgers. He was a broadcaster here, my partner, back in the early 80s. He turned down some jobs as a manager, and to me, he would have been a great manager because he understood the game of baseball. He knew pitching and he understood baseball.
Why'd he turn him down?
Well, he turned him down basically because he had a bad temper.
He did that, yes. But there's a lot of guys with bad tempers managing.
Well, yeah, but it's not good to have a guy managing who's got a real short fuse and bad temper. And Don, in some areas, just couldn't let some things go. And he knew that. And he became a great broadcaster.
I broadcast my first game ever with Don Drysdale and Al Michaels.
There he goes. Safe. Got another good jump. So he picks up his first stolen base.
He's got the speed to be able to steal as much as he wants. It's just a question of technique. Now, he's a big man, but he's very fast, and he gets a leg in ahead of the tag. I imagine we'll see a lot more of that next year.
I'm sure they probably told him, if you're going to steal, you're going to run, you do not go head first.
I would hope so. Not after the surgery on the labrum.
So he strikes him out. That one at 96, one down. Five strikeouts now for each pitcher. And here's Fagley. Yeah, but Don would have been a great manager, except for his temper.
Well, you got John Farrell with Boston. You got Buddy Black with San Diego. You don't hear a whole lot about him because he's in San Diego, and that team finishes up the track. Buddy Black, a former pitcher and a former pitching coach, is a good manager.
Well, today's game is entirely different managing than it was 25 years back. Entirely different. The culture of the game has changed entirely. X's and O's really have never been that big a deal in the game. In the past, it was handling a pitching staff. That's what the main criteria for a manager was, to handle his starters. Because there's a ground ball right side by Fagley. Sogard's got him. And that's out number 2. So it's gone from now, the main priority for a manager, not handling his starters, handling his bullpen. So it's gone from the first pitch of the game in the past, from the first pitch of the game to the last pitch of the game, to today's culture, from the last pitch of the game to the first pitch of the game. It's just reversed itself. And here's Jordan. He singled to lead off the third inning. That pitch was a little bit outside. He gave it to him. Samardzija's got 10 wild pitches.
Yeah, for Avi, because Samardzija throws a splitter and some sliders in the dirt, he's got to have all his momentum going forward. Norris is not the best at digging pitches out of the dirt.
And for the manager today, back in 25 years and beyond, they had a lot of leverage. They had the leverage of the minor leagues. Today, that leverage is gone. They have no leverage in that respect for the majority of the players.
You're not going to be able to send some guys down, but you can certainly not write them in the lineup.
Well, the most important thing a manager's ever had is a lineup card. That's the most precious thing he has is the lineup card.
He can explain without saying anything to players that he doesn't like what they've been doing or what they did by not putting him in the next day or two.
But that too is diminishing because of some of the GMs who are really not baseball people per se, as far as being former players or played the game, as he can't get it. Because they'll come down and now they will dictate who goes in that lineup to a much greater degree today than they did 25 years ago in past. They will dictate the lineup.
I agree with you, and there's a whole lot of guys, managers, that don't have the final say. A lot of guys.
That's right. 2-2 pitch is full. Sanchez on deck. And that's ball 4.
Samardzija tried to get everything he could on that high fastball and missed the zone. So a rarity, 2 walks in the same inning for Jeff Samardzija, who came in 12 starts with Oakland. He'd only walked 10 guys this half season.
And only 2 walks he's issued in this game. Here's Sanchez. He's 0 for 1 hit into a 6-3 double play, but he scorched it. He hit it right on the money. So we'll see what Robin wants to do with the count. Takes a strike. Jordan 4 for 6 in stolen bases.
I saw Jed Lowry doing something that I haven't seen in a while, which is looking in at Derek Norris, reading his signs, and then making the call to Eric Sogard at second to see who's going to cover second base if Jordan takes off. There you see, Sox hitters, right league average.
Well, your good center fielders usually get the signs as well. They can see them from out there. That ball's outside, and he gave it to him. So the count 0-2. Back out there. Just got a piece of it in and out of the mitt of Derek Norris.
Well, Samardzija didn't want to throw that fastball right down the middle, but because it was 97, Sanchez couldn't get more than just a stitch.
High and wide on that breaker.
Almost threw it away.
Yeah, he did. See if Robin wants to do anything here. Nope. And count 2-2. 1-3-0 for them. 0-3-0 for us here in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Might not be a bad idea to send him here, only because you're going to shift one of those infielders out of position for a ground ball.
That's right to the bag. Over to first. And that'll retire the side. So we have a threat. Can't do anything with it. We have finished 5 and we trail it 1-0. It's the top of the order here in the top of the 6th for the A's. Crisp, Fold, and Donaldson. Oakland leads it 1-0. Coco's 1 for 2. He led off the 4th with a single and came around to score as he takes first pitch strike.
Big inning for Chris because he's got the top of the order, 3rd time through the lineup, and the top of the order coming up in the bottom of the 6th for our Sox, 3rd time through the order.
Good pitch, breaking ball, eating him up inside.
Some pretty impressive numbers for a man in his 2nd major league start.
Best start we've ever had here in the last 30 years from a rookie was Kip Wells. He had the best first 7 starts of any rookie I've ever seen. He was impressive in each and every one. First 7. That's right, Eddie. 1 out. And on Saturday, September 13th, come see our Sox take on the Twins at 6:10. First 20,000 fans will receive a Paul Konerko game-worn uniform baseball card presented by Wintrust Community Bank. So be sure to stay after the game for a post-game fireworks show. So whitesox.com/Konerko or 866-SOX-GAME.
Gould is a good bunter, and you have to bear that in mind.
They are. Corners in close. Oh, and 2 the count. Top of the 7th in the Bronx. Yankees were trailing. They now lead Tampa Bay 6-4. Yankees were trailing 4-0. Alexei.
Good thing that Chris didn't have that carom off his glove, because Alexei was playing right up the middle. He was in perfect position for anything but a deflection. You see where he is, and normally on the hand side you don't even go after that, because if you know where your shortstop is, you know that he's going to be able to make the play.
Donaldson has lined hard, very hard to left field, and also hit into a 6-4-3 double play. Pitch at 93, outside. That's a fair ball, says Dale Scott. So the 2-out double, and that'll bring up Adam Dunn, who singled, knocking in Chris back in the 4th inning.
Inside fastball taken right down the line. It's not where it hits, it's where it went over the bag, and that ball went over the bag fair.
Indeed it did. That single by Dunn knocking in Chris back in the fourth. He just shoved it to the left side where we had only Connor Gillespie over there. They're going to put the shift on again, and now Gillespie is going to move a little more to his left towards second base. Josh Reddick on deck. The 2-0 pitch.
Got to make this pitch like you believe that Adam Dunn has a 3-0 green light, because he probably does.
So that's the second walk issued by Bassett. And here's Reddick. He has popped to short and grounded out softly to first, and here comes Coop.
So Don Cooper goes out, talking to his youngster. They went over what to do with Josh Reddick before the game. They went over it with Fegley and with Bassett. But it never hurts with any pitcher, but especially a young pitcher, to go back over, reinforce exactly what the game plan was, and see if he can execute it. Reddick hasn't had the ball out of the infield in 2 at-bats, and so Quinn Wolcott goes out to break it up. 1-4 and 0 for the Athletics. 0-3 and 0 for our Sox. Very similar shift for Reddick as there was for Dunn. Little slider. He threw it by him, and Eric Surkamp loosening in the pen. Outfield playing Reddick to pull. And quickly he's in an 0-2 hole. Looking ahead to the bottom of the 6th, it'll be Eaton, Ramirez, and Abreu, and if anybody gets on, Gillespie. Samardzija's given up 3 hits. He's certainly been helped out with a couple of, well, 3 double plays. That one misses down. And the count goes to 1-2. Now Josh Phegley going out to have a word with him. Reddick does not strike out very much. 55 strikeouts in 318 at-bats. But like most left-handers, he's susceptible to the face-high fastball.
Slow low, a hard high.
Lifted into left center field.
Jordan is.
And easy play for Jordan Danks. So Chris Bassett works his way out of it. We'll head to the bottom of the 6th, and it's a 1-0 game.
Bulls fans to the ballpark for the game on Saturday, September 13th. In addition to specially priced tickets, fans will receive a special White Sox Bulls hat and will also have the opportunity to participate in a pregame fan fest and parade. So for tickets, visit whitesox.com/Chicago Bulls. Top of the order: Eaton, Ramirez, Abreu. 1-0, 1-4-0 for the A's, 0-3-0 for our Sox. We had 2 hits in the first inning, 1 in the third off Samardzija. Now that's another base hit to lead off the inning. Slashed into left field.
One of the things Alexei should look at is Donaldson at third. He's in back of the bag a step, but moving forward.
Outfield straight up and very much spread out. A lot of room in those gaps. Adam 14 for 22 stolen bases. There you go.
That one looked like he got a piece of Norris on his way by. One of the reasons why teams will try to take advantage of Oakland in the running game is 83 steals, and they've been caught only 16 times, and that hit the foot of Derek Norris. Pretty impressive numbers so far for Jeff Samardzija.
Watch out. One out.
Best way to control a base runner is hold the ball. And nowhere to go. A costly pickoff.
Watch out, Joe McEwing. Two balls, two strikes. Off the glove. Donaldson can't make anything happen, but that'll be the hit for Alexei. About time he caught a break.
Well, fortunately for Samardzija, this is on the glove side, able to deflect it, but no chance at all for Donaldson, who was off balance. And Alexei's aboard with a tying run.
Last 2 weeks, Alexei has been hitting a lot of hang wolfums.
The Abreu double in the first inning is our fourth drive of the game, as he goes down and gets it and scorches it into the gap. It was his second hit of the inning. Unfortunately, a double play preceded it, and the Sox came away empty.
And Alexei liked to run. He's got 19 stolen bases.
That was almost the identical pitch to the one he doubled on in the first inning. A low fastball. But this time he couldn't catch up.
Outfield. Straight up, spread out. Spaced about equidistant. Decent lead by Alexei. And that pitch is inside. So 2-1 to Abreu.
Jose's doing a better job tonight of laying off that fastball inside. Because not only is it 95, but with good late movement. Tough to get at Samardzija if you're going to swing at that one.
Not unless you're real good at hitting it with the knob of the bat.
You'd have to be real good.
Yeah. Short of lead right now. He got a pretty good pitch hit right there and couldn't do anything with it.
He hung a slider right over the middle of the plate. Norris wanted a high fastball. Samardzija shook to the slider and then made a mistake and got away with it.
There's a good job right there by Abreu just to fight that pitch off.
Tough pitch to handle, a slider blown away just off the plate, but tantalizing with a 2-2 count. He was able to stay alive.
Broken bat caught by Moss. 2 down.
Moss has not let his lack of hitting affect his defense. This one's going into right field. Moss has only made 6 errors this year in 132 games. Makes a pretty good play.
That 6th error coming in game 1 here. Gillespie. He struck out in the first, then he lined very hard to third. Donaldson making a fine play on him. Next pitch will be number 93 for Samardzija. He had a good pitch to hit, up a little bit for him, but he put a good pass on it.
Kind of one of the few lefties that hits high fastballs pretty well.
Not too many up there.
Not too many do.
The vast majority can't. Well, we're seeing more and more pitchers today, and the number is increasing each and every passing year. That's why it's been interesting to be around the game. There goes Alexei. There's a throw. He's safe. That's number 20. Now pick him up, Connor.
Norris had no chance whatsoever as Alexei got a great break. See him get probably a 4-step jump. And even if you have a cannon, you're not going to be able to throw him out with that jump. So Kurt Young comes out to talk with Jeff Samardzija.
But it's been interesting to see the evolution and the change of the high fastball from not real hard throwers. And it's something you did very well in your career. You learned how to pitch up at the right time. And there's another old saying about pitching. Show me a guy that knows how to pitch up and I'll show you a winner.
Especially if you're up and out of the strike zone. I mean, we've seen, how many lefties have we seen this year topping out at 87 to 89 who throw face-high fastballs and see hitter after hitter either popping them up or swinging through.
About 95% more now than were 25 years ago. So Kurt's had his say with Jeff. 2 out. And the 2-1 pitch evens the count. Well, one-way pitchers can gauge that a little bit, or catchers, I should say, even more importantly, is when you see a guy foul off 2, 3, 4 low pitches, especially low and away, like that one that Abreu fouled over the first base dugout. He's looking down. And if you get a guy looking down, you come up with an 88, 89 mile an hour fastball, letter high, a little higher than that even, you're going to get him.
That was a splitter. He kind of did a nice job of staying alive.
Full count with Avi on deck. That one at 95, and we're into the 7th.
.5 FM, ESPN Deportes, Chicago's first and only Spanish language sports radio station.
7th inning, it'll be Norris, Moss, and Lowry to face our Chris Bassett, 25-year-old rookie making his 2nd major league start. He's given up a run on 4 hits. We have no runs on 5 hits. They stranded 2 last inning. They've only stranded 3 men in this game, the same as us. But here's Norris. Twice he has struck out, once swinging at a curveball, once called on a fastball. That curveball misses. 1-1 to count. And the count 1-2. Curveball, and that's trouble. It's going to fall for a poster child for a duck snort. So the leadoff man aboard, and that'll bring up Brandon Moss. And join us on Friday, September 12th at 7:10 as our Sox take on the Twins. First 20,000 fans ages 21 and over will receive a White Sox Irish flat cap presented by Miller Lite. Also enjoy our post-game fireworks presented by Miller Lite. It's not just a good time, it's Miller time. Miller Lite, official beer of your Chicago White Sox. So purchase tickets today, whitesox.com/SPD or 866 Sox game. And what a nice round of applause, and deservedly so, for Chris Bassett. Youngster goes 6+. Faces one guy here in the 7th, giving up 1 run. He departs. And congratulations on a terrific effort against a contending ball club to Chris Bassett.
The 28th time. He inherits Derek Norris at first base. Moss is taken down in favor of Nate Fryman.
Fryman, 6'8", 250 pounds.
What a great job for the young right-hander tonight.
That's pretty impressive second major league start. Fryman played last night. He was 1 for 5 with a run scored. Out of Duke University. Takes first pitch strike.
Fryman's grounded into 5 double plays, one of them in this series.
High pop up, and that's going to be in the seats for a souvenir. Down and in. He gone.
Good hard breaking slider. And Fryman, no chance out of the strike zone. Smothered by Josh Phegley.
Lowry fouls it back.
Ronald Belisario loosening in the pen.
Nice pick by Josh. So the count 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out here in the top of the 7th. 1-5-0 for them, 0-5-0 for us. And this is the 3rd of this 4-game set and 3rd of the 7-game homestand. We will conclude this series tomorrow afternoon. And then we'll have the Minnesota Twins coming to town. And after the game tomorrow afternoon, these A's will board their charter, head back to the coast to Seattle for a 3-game set against the Mariners. And after that, they go home for their final homestand, 9 games, the last 3 being with the Angels. They've actually got a pretty good schedule for them. They play Texas for 3, Philadelphia for 3, Angels for 3. And then they go on the road to finish up 4 on the road, but it's down at Arlington against the Rangers. I believe they've got a 1.5 game lead in the race for the wild card, as that's checked up and that's fouled. So the count 2-2. I love September baseball. Lifts that one into left field. Jordan comes on and makes the catch. What a play by Danks. Mercy. Stayed with it, committed, and made it.
Lowry hit it off the end of the bat, and Jordan Danks, an outstanding outfielder, comes on, makes the play. And holds on, because in this game, the ground can cause a fumble.
Well, the first rule in baseball is catch the ball, and he can do that extremely well. So here is Sogard. He's grounded to first, and he has struck out. Yeah, when you can catch the ball like Jordan Danks, you can play any position in the outfield. You get a chance to be around for a while. There's a strike. He can throw some leather. And you know, we're all still waiting for him. He had a great spring. He showed what he could do with a bat. He had a good year down in Charlotte. Don't give up on that guy. Oh, and 2 the count to Sogard. You know, you being a pitcher, it's a pretty nice feeling. When the ball goes up in the air to the outfield, you know it's going to be caught.
Doesn't happen too often. But if you have 3 guys that can go get him.
There's a nice play. And they force at second. 7th inning stretch. We need 1 to tie it as 1-0 A's. There it is. Bottom of the 7th. 1-5-0 and 0-5-0.
Nate Fryman stays in the game to play first base.
For us, it'll be Garcia, Wilkins, and Fegley. Scheduled hitters. Face the 6'5" right-hander Jeff Samardzija. So here's Avi. Grounded back to the pitcher, and he's walked. Also picked up a stolen base, his first. We have 2 stolen bases in the game, one by Garcia, the other by Alexei. That was Alexei's 20th. Alexei, 14 homers, 65 knocked in, 30 doubles, 2 triples, and 20 stolen bases. That was the 99th pitch thrown by Jeff. And speaking strictly from my point of view, wouldn't break my heart to see that man in a White Sox uniform next year.
He'll be there. He'll be out there and available.
He's out there.
After a good job by Eric Surkamp, Zach Putnam loosening in the pen.
Surkamp has been doing a real good job lately.
It was a big inning. Especially the way Samardzich's pitching, you could ill afford to give him any more runs.
And a big catch by Danks. There's a lot of top spin on that ball. Meanwhile, 1 out. Fancy First Merit Bank Stadium Club offers breathtaking views of U.S. Cellular Field and delicious food and beverage options for you to enjoy prior and during White Sox games. Purchase a First Merit Bank Stadium Club membership by calling 312-674-1000. Mark Zucker, all the crew, they do a great job. A great job. There's a strike to Andy. Had just a piece of the zone. That one upstairs. High inside corner, high outside corner. That one at 96. There's a bullet on a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. So the 1-out single. Andy now 1 for 3.
This one high and out over the plate, and Wilkins was able to turn it around.
He gets that one up. It's tied at 1. Meanwhile, here's Josh. Josh has struck out and grounded to second. Takes that fastball at 95. There's a shot caught. Now the ball is thrown away. Andy on his way to second. He will get there. Boy, that's a hang whoop right there for Fegley. That was ticketed for a double. Dadgummit.
22nd error of the year for Donaldson. This part of it is good for him. This part, not so good. Wilkins has to hustle back. And Fryman has no chance. So there's a tying run out at second base.
And here's Danks. Jordan, a single and a walk. Takes a slider strike.
Bullpen up and going. Fernando Abad, our throwing left-hander.
That one at 96 got it in on him. So 2 out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Wilkins is second. That's into left center field. Folds, makes the catch, and that'll retire the side. So we have a shot, can't convert, and we're into the 8th.
Of a ball game, Oakland leads 1-0. Chris Bassett threw 6 innings, 5 hits, just a 1 earned run on 5 strikeouts and a couple of walks. Adam Dunn, the RBI single in the 4th. That's been it. Start something special with great leases and low financing on a new Honda. Visit shophonda.com or your local Honda dealer. And we've got a new pitcher coming in the ball game, and it is Zach Putnam. Putnam at 4-3, a fine ERA of 2.15 on for the 45th time. Opponent sitting just 2.01, which is a very low total. And the way things have gone for this Oakland pitching staff, you got to hold them right here at a 1-run deficit.
Coco is 1 for 3 with a single and a run scored. Corners in close, outfield bunched just a bit. And the count 1-1.
The way Chris can run, this would be a real good man to keep off base.
Jacks it up, and he takes ball 2. So 2-1 the count to Covelli. Three and 1. Covelli, Lois, Crisp. Wrong man to walk. He is 19 for 23. And we want to hear from you. Visit WhiteSox.com/TV survey during tonight's game and provide us your feedback for 2 tickets to a select White Sox home game and a chance to win a signed Paul Konerko jersey and other memorabilia. So here is Sam Folds. He's gone out to left, walked, and grounded to short.
Connor Gillespie believes he is going to bunt because he is in very close to third. Bolt does have 3 sacrifices and a safety squeeze in this series.
Chopper foul. Donaldson on deck. Adam Dunn in the hole. Coco, decent lead. Fakes the bunt, takes the ball, and the count evens at 1.
Had a pretty good pitch, and it went Folds' way. He's looked at Mike Gallego, the third base coach, longtime Major League infielder, and longtime coach. Even though Putnam is using a slide step, a lot of managers love the 2-1 count to run because you very rarely see a pitch out.
And he's got another quarter of a step down there. That pitch is popped up. Jordan. So a big out. And here comes Donaldson. Donaldson 1 for 3, that double in the 6th inning. He also has hit the ball hard the other 2 at bats into outs, 1 into a double play. And a vicious line drive to end the 1st inning right at Jordan Danks in left field. 5 hits last night, 6 at bats. So it appears he is putting it together. Takes a strike.
Gillespie's playing the line as he should for a pull hitter. Alexi's playing straight away. There is a good gap on the left side between them.
Big hack in the count 0-2. Pitch out, nothing on. 2-2. Protecting the plate. Count hangs at 1-2. Mike Trout tonight scored his 100th run of the season, making him just the 6th player with 3 100-run campaigns before he reaches the age of 23. The other 5 were Mel Ott, Buddy Lewis, Ted Williams, Vada Pinson, and Alex Rodriguez. They have completed 8 at Comerica Park, Kansas City, leading 2-0. In the dirt. He gone.
I think Coco wants to have Bob Melvin come out and question that. Josh Phegley got to the ball very quickly. The throw was high. Coco believes that he got in. And as Melvin will look back into the dugout, we'll see if they believe the same thing from the dugout. And so whatever 3 means
review it.
And they're going to take a look. We'll slow it down. We'll take a look. The call by Dan Iasonia.
He gone.
This is a managerial challenge. It's hard to see definitive proof that he got the hand in.
Right there, the tag.
Certainly looks like he got him. But in the 8th inning, from Bob Melvin's standpoint, not much to lose on a challenge here.
And while they await the results of that challenge, a reminder, make your plans to be with us tomorrow. Finale of this 4-game set. A couple of left-handers out there on that bump. Scott Kazmir for them, and for us, Chris Sale. He gone. So a terrific play by Josh Fegley. 2 down and a 2-2 count to Donaldson.
Just got to that ball as quickly as anybody could. And he cut him down. And you don't expect Coco Crisp to get thrown out with the ball in the dirt that far away, but get him he did.
That is chopped over our dugout. So the count hangs at 2-2. But tomorrow, Chris Sale against Scott Kazmir. If you can't make it to the ballpark, that game will be over Comcast Sportsnet Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Ron Gardenhire's Minnesota Twins in town. Dennis off on the road again for the final time this year. We'll be going to Kansas City for 3, Tampa Bay for 3, and Detroit for 3. There's a chopper. Nice play by Alexis. Gun of his gets him. Beautiful spin, peg. And that'll retire the side. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. It is still 1-0 Oakland.
The friends and family of Luke Gregerson. They were tailgating before the game. And here they are inside the ballpark. And they're rewarded by Gregerson's emergence in the game. He's 4-3 ERA, 2.25 on for the 65th time. 51 strikeouts, just 14 walks in 64 innings. Jeff Samardzija was brilliant. He went 7. No runs on 6 hits with a couple of walks, 6 strikeouts. He was in trouble a couple of times, but was able to work his way out of it.
Well, you can't prove it by everybody, I'm sure, but by us, we can't score on smart.
Certainly not in this ballpark.
I'm telling you, as I said, it wouldn't break my heart to see him in the White Sox uniform next year. At all. So here is Gregerson. He's a Chicago boy, born in Park Ridge, now resides here. 5 years in the big leagues, 6'3", 200 pounds. Back in 2006 was the Chicagoland Conference Player of the Year. As Carlos fouls it off, and the count 0-2. And there's a tough play right there for Sogard. That can be a base hit.
You would think it would be a base hit. To his right on the backhand and hit well, and it is a base hit. So the tying run aboard to lead off the inning.
So Leury is going to go out and run for Carlos. Carlos now 1 for 3 on the evening. Hits ball hard twice.
And the man who solved Jeff Samardzija the best, Adam Eaton, with his 2 for 3.
Donaldson at the cut of the grass. Outfield swung around to the left. Gap out there in right center if he can find it. And he looks at ball 1 outside. Ball hit hard. Meanwhile, throws it away. Everybody is safe. So Fryman with a throwing error. First 2 men aboard.
This a huge error for a team that's made a whole lot of them this year. Looked like it was going to be a double play. It turns into 2 out. 2 on, nobody out, with the heart of the order coming out.
The one thing that the first baseman on that play right there, as hard as that ball was hit, is now Fred Young coming out. The one thing you have to make sure of is you don't get too quick and make a bad throw.
Looked like he never took a step to get an angle.
Well, he knows who hit the ball. He knows the speed of Adam Eaton, and he got really rushed it. And when you rush it like that, you got a chance to throw it away, and that's what he did. You got to get the out at second. So here's Alexei. Alexei is 1 for 3 with a stolen base. Picked up his 20th stolen base in the 6th. Abreu on deck.
Gregerson got a little lucky on that because that was a floating breaking ball that for him was a break because it floated too far inside. Lexi is a good breaking ball hitter in the strike zone.
Chases that one and the count 1-1.
Like most guys, not a good breaking ball hitter out of the strike zone.
Not too many of those around.
No. Probably Vlad Guerrero of yesteryear, the star with Montreal and later with the Angels.
So I can name a couple that. That's at the top of the zone, had a little bit of it. Yogi Berra and Kirby Puckett were guys who were unbelievable out of the strike zone.
That one with just the top of the zone. Norris wasn't too sure as he yanked it down, but got the benefit of the call.
One out.
Another breaking ball out of the zone. Had him well out in front of it. So now Jose, who's been chasing that elusive 100th run batted in, with a chance right here.
Well, the reason he's been chasing that 100 is because he's been chasing breaking balls out of the zone. Come on, Hosey. Not too much, buddy. That breaking ball down and the count 0-1. Another breaking ball and the count 0-2.
3 White Sox in history in their rookie seasons drove in 100. Smead Jolly, Zeke Manura, and of course Ron Kittle in 1983. Smead could hit. Had a good solid stroke.
He hit them in bunches. That ball gets away for both runners. Now will advance.
It'll probably be the 5th wild pitch of the year for Gregerson. And now you can't play the infield in. This one in the dirt. Every catcher knows when it's a breaking ball in the dirt, it will come back to the plate if it's a right-hander. And that one backed up after it hit, and Norris couldn't flag it down. So perhaps the biggest wild pitch for this team in a long time.
One and two, one out. Ducks on the punt. Two down.
This one started outside and kept going further. And now it's up to Gillespie.
He is 0 for 3 tonight, a couple of strikeouts. One time, Connor. Kansas City has defeated Detroit 3-0.
And for Big Game James, this might have been his biggest of the year.
One time he retired 17 in a row through 6 innings. He gave up one hit. That was to Ian Kinsler. That
gave up 2 overall. And Wade Davis shut him down. I would be surprised if he gave Gillespie, with first base open, anything too good to hit with the right-handed Garcia in the on-deck circle.
Out. That pitch, the first one and the second one, looked like a pitch around.
Probably the wisest thing to do, especially when you have a guy and he trusts his control. And I think Bob Melvin is saying 4. Put him at first base.
Well, if you're going to, that's a good manager who will just go ahead and say, put the 4 fingers up. That's all. Don't take a chance trying to pitch around him, make a mistake, maybe throw one away, trying to get him to swing at it. A lot of, it's amazing how many managers will not do that.
Well, that being said, he's already thrown 1 wild pitch in the inning.
Good managers will just go ahead and put the 4 up as they put him on. So here comes Avi. Avi 0 for 2 with a base on balls and a stolen base. Sacks packed with good guys. Angels winning their game 7-1, bottom of the 8th down in Texas. So this is a big out right here for these Oakland A's. They're 8 games back coming in to today. Take him right back through the middle. As always, first pitch in that sequence is very big in this scenario. One and 0. And there is a base hit. So here's 1, here's 2. Sox lead it 2-1 on the base hit by Avisail Garcia. Yes.
"19 driven in." That was a hanging breaking ball inside. So Gregerson makes a mistake. They're unearned runs, but greatly appreciated. Certainly not by Jeff Samardzija or Oakland. But Avi comes through, taking it right back up the middle. The first lead of the night in the bottom of the 8th. Big base hit.
And here's Andy. Andy 1 for 3. He just smoked a single into right field last inning. And that one's hit hard but foul. And another. Jeff Samardzija is their version of Chris Sale and Jose Quintana. Boy, you're talking about bad luck, tough luck. If he didn't have any bad luck, Samardzija wouldn't have any luck at all.
Brilliant outing, goes for naught.
Two 8-0 for us, 1-5-2 for them.
Dan Otero loosening in the pen.
Pass foul back, so the count now 1-2.
Jake Petrichka will face the middle of the order in the top of the 9th inning with at least a 1-run lead.
Dunn, Reddick, and Norris, the scheduled hitters. Two balls, two strikes. And that is hit hard but foul.
Not the happiest man in the ballpark right now is a skipper who's seen his club. With the absence of Sean Doolittle, their closer, they've had some problems nailing it down late.
Well, the day before they came in here, Houston scored 2 runs in the top of the 9th inning to win that ball game without the benefit of a base hit.
5 walks will usually do you in late.
And then the error right here is big play. If they just get the lead man at second base, they get out of the inning.
And the first game of the series, the heroics by Tyler Flowers with 2 outs in the 9th, and then again in the 12th, home runs.
Yes, he did. But we come up with a pair. We'll go to the 9th, leading 2-1. September pennant races is with MLB.com At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat brings you baseball wherever you are with live look-ins, replay reviews, scores, stats, highlights, live radio broadcasts, the MLB TV game of the day, and more. Get this award-winning MLB.com At Bat app for your smartphone or tablet for only $9.99 for September and October. Visit the App Store or MLB.com today.
Jake Petrichka comes into the ball game looking for his 12th save of the year. Got 3 big outs to go. Leury Garcia, who came on a pinch run at second base. And there's a look at the numbers. The ERA 2.73 on for the 59th time. 11 of 14 in save opportunities.
So here's Adam Dunn. He's 1 for 2 with an RBI. Takes that fastball at 95 right there. They got the shift on, of course. And the outfielder straight up, spread out, and deep. One and one to count.
I know one thing, it's not going over Avi's head than staying in the ballpark. He's
right where they should be.
He's 5 feet from the track. And that's what you're supposed to do in a no double set.
That's up high, and the count 2-1. It's even. And he just did get a piece of that one.
That was a pretty hard changeup. You just thrown a 98-mile-an-hour fastball through an 89-mile-an-hour changeup. And for Adam, he felt it was too close to take and able to foul it off.
He gone.
88-mile-an-hour changeup. And a dandy in a perfect spot. When you've got 98 and you can throw one of those low and out of the zone, you'll get a few of them.
Here's Reddick. It's popped up to short, grounded out to first, and gone out to left.
Infielders don't have to move anywhere. They're in the same kind of shift for Reddick as they were for Dunn.
That pitch is popped up. Change up. Two down. That'll bring it Derek Norris, who is 1 for 3. That little duck snort single leading off the 7th. Greg trying to tie this thing up. He has 10 long ones. He's knocked in 52. And there's a chopper down the line. The peg! Yes, and this ball game is over. So the Sox put a 2 spot on the board in the bottom of the 8th inning. They now have taken 2 out of the first 3. And this is a huge, huge loss for the Oakland A's, and we'll be back.